So, Disney's whole wave of turning its classic animated movies into live-action versions has stirred up a bunch of mixed feelings. Some fans are totally here for it. They like seeing their favorite stories in a new light, with real actors, big special effects, and updated storytelling. But others? Not so much. They feel like these remakes don't always capture the original magic, or just come off as unnecessary cash grabs. That said, out of all these live-action remakes, the Maleficent series has been one of the rare ones that really clicked with both fans and critics. Unlike other reboots that stick closely to the original story, Maleficent took a totally different path. It zoomed in on the villain and gave her a full-on redemption arc. Instead of being just the evil fairy from Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent became this complex, misunderstood character with her own motives, pain, and power. And clearly, that angle worked. The two movies combined have pulled in over $1.2 billion at the global box office. That's a huge win, and it shows there's real love out there for this take on the character. People like seeing new layers added to familiar tales. Plus, let's be honest, Angelina Jolie basically is Maleficent at this point. Her performance has been praised across the board. But here's the thing. Even though Maleficent 3 was officially confirmed way back in 2021, Disney's been super quiet about it ever since. For a while, fans weren't even sure if it was still happening. The longer the silence dragged on, the more it started to feel like one of those projects that gets announced and then mysteriously disappears. That's why it was actually a big deal when a recent Deadline report brought some good news. Linda Woolverton, the screenwriter behind the first Maleficent and co-writer of the second, has officially signed on to write Maleficent 3 too. She's also attached to the upcoming Winnie the Pooh project, Winnie and Friends, which sort of confirms she's still in the Disney loop. That update alone gave fans hope that this third film isn't just some forgotten idea. It's moving forward. Angelina Jolie has also confirmed she's coming back to play Maleficent again, which is kind of non-negotiable for most fans. Without her, the whole vibe would be off. But beyond that, details are still under wraps. No plot, no teaser, no other cast confirmations. So while the wheels are turning, it's still early days. The first two movies took some big swings with the story. They didn't just retell Sleeping Beauty, they flipped it. Maleficent went from villain to protective godmother. Aurora got more agency. And the world itself got a serious expansion with the introduction of the Dark Fae and other magical beings. So now fans are wondering, what could Maleficent 3 even be about? Looking at where Mistress of Evil left off, there's definitely room to keep going. That film wrapped up with a pretty intense battle between the Dark Fae and the humans of Ulstead. Maleficent almost killed Queen Ingrid, but she backed down after hearing Aurora's plea for mercy. Ingrid, being her usual treacherous self, tried to shoot Maleficent anyway. But the tables turned, literally, as Maleficent transformed into a full-blown phoenix and saved Aurora from falling to her death. In the end, Maleficent turned Ingrid into a goat, which, let's be real, was both savage and hilarious. Even though that kind of felt like a wrap for Ingrid, nothing in fantasy is ever final. Pfeiffer's version of the Queen was so deliciously wicked that fans wouldn't mind seeing her pop up again, maybe back in human form, maybe even more unhinged. But if the story moves forward, the next movie will probably want to introduce a brand new antagonist. And that brings us to the fun part. Who could be the villain in Maleficent 3? There's a bunch of interesting directions Disney could take here. One idea is to bring in a threat that isn't just about kingdoms and political power like Ingrid. What if the new villain is someone magical, someone from Maleficent's own world, or even her past? There are plenty of mythological and folklore-based characters that could be adapted into Disney canon. One possibility could be someone inspired by Caraboss, the evil fairy from older versions of the Sleeping Beauty tale. In some versions of the story, Caraboss is even darker than Maleficent ever was, manipulative, ancient, and driven by pure vengeance. Imagine a rival fairy or sorceress who sees Maleficent's softer side as weakness. That would create a serious clash of ideology. Kindness versus cruelty, growth versus grudges. If they wanted to tie into the larger Disney fairy tale universe, There could even be a crossover-style threat. Some fans have speculated about connecting the worlds of different magical creatures. What if a villain from a Tangled-like realm? Maybe someone with an agenda related to Rapunzel's mother god Hel, or even the enchanted flower itself, entered the picture. Disney has done multiverse-type crossovers before, so it's not completely out there. They could also go even deeper into the Dark Fae lore. Mistress of Evil introduced us to their tribe, but didn't fully explore their origins. What if there's a faction of Dark Fae that never agreed with Maleficent's peaceful approach? Maybe they think she's gone soft, and they want to start a war, not just against humans, but against every magical creature that doesn't side with them. That could set up an emotionally charged conflict, especially if it involves characters like Bora, played by Ed Skrein, who had more radical ideas in the second film. There's also potential to bring in a cursed prince or corrupted knight, someone who was once noble but got twisted by dark magic. Sort of like a Disney version of Mordred from Arthurian legend. A character like that could serve as a mirror to Maleficent's own arc, showing how easy it is to fall into darkness when you feel betrayed or broken. And if Disney wanted to go really bold, they could tap into some lesser-known comic lore. In the 2000s, Marvel, which is under the Disney umbrella, released a line of comics called Disney Kingdoms that explored magical artifacts and mythologies hidden within the Disney theme parks. One of those featured characters called the Dreamfinders and the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, who uncovered ancient magical forces. Imagine combining the kind of deeper magic with the Maleficent universe. A villain who wields forgotten spells or reality-warping abilities that even Maleficent struggles to fight. Now, back to the returning cast. There's basically no Maleficent without Elle Fanning's Aurora, who's been the emotional core of both films. Her dynamic with Jolie is what makes the story work. It's about forgiveness, mother-daughter bonds, and growing up while dealing with power. The same goes for Dyaval, played by Sam Riley. The loyal Raven Man hybrid is too lovable to leave behind. And since Disney already recast Prince Philip once, Harris Dickinson took over for Brennan Thwaites. Fans are really hoping that's not going to happen again. Continuity matters in long-running franchises like this, especially when so much of it relies on chemistry between characters. Out of all the Disney remakes, this is still the only one that successfully told a new story instead of just retelling the old one. So fingers crossed the momentum continues, and Disney gives this series the big magical send-off it deserves. Until we get trailer, or at least a plot tease, all fans can do is speculate. And honestly, that's half the fun. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.